Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very senior and accomplished professional from the US, Mr. Jamie Weeks. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ash.
Jamie is the Executive Chairman and Founder of the Legacy Franchise Concepts and Honors Holdings, LLC. He's the founder of Sweat House Infrared Sauna Studios, and we've often been called the culture cultivator. So, Jamie, let's start by asking you about your incredible journey from an asset manager to an entrepreneur.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I wasn't even an asset manager as much as I just represented asset managers, and which was great. Which is a great role for me. I enjoyed it. I made some of my best friends, but it's really where I learned culture. I worked for a guy named Barry Maninac at UBS, the Swiss bank, for about 11 years. And he was someone that to me was my boss, but was my friend as well. And he had an amazing balance that 80% of the time we were friends and he talked to me like a friend. And that 20% that I knew he was a boss, he never acted like a boss. He gave me reasons to push harder and drive harder. And I learned how to find that balance of culture in a business setting from him. And so about 10 years ago, I'm 47. So when I was 38, 39, I decided to try my hand at becoming an entrepreneur. And I got into the franchise space and became an Orange Theory Fitness franchisee. And so here we are 8 or 9 years later. And I'm the largest Orange Theory franchisee with 142 Orange Theory Fitness studios.
Wow.
And then in the last 3 years, we've started a brand called Sweat House, which is really for recovery. And it's infrared sauna, cold plunge, red light therapy, hydro massage. And we've done really well there. We've got 13 open and we've sold about 60 licenses. And we think we'll get to 100 licenses by March.
Okay.
Then I'm also a franchisee in the Dogtopia system, where I'm one of the largest franchisees there. And so here in America right now, dog ownership is at an all-time high.
Yep.
And I tend to make the joke that when you have a dog at 25 years old, you don't wake up at 35 and decide I'm going to start having cats. When you have a dog at 25, you're pretty much in for the rest of your life. You're a dog person for a long time. Correct. You may add cats, but you're a dog person. Well said. So that's a trend that I like to be on this side of the table of.
Well said. You also say that you discovered your purpose in the mid-30s, which was far more than accumulating businesses and wealth, and yet you are the biggest franchise owner of several businesses.
Yeah. You know, I for the first probably 33, 34 years of my life, my focus was much more me, and what can I get? What can I do for me? What's in it for me? And about 12 years ago, I lost my mother. And that was a really life-changing, as it would be for everybody, a life-changing event where it took me some time to sit back and think about, was I going about life the way that she would have wanted me to go about life, just focused on myself, the way that, you know, she died of multiple sclerosis, and she's someone that thought and focused more on other people than anyone I've ever met, when she could have easily been selfish and just focused on herself. And so I really kind of taken that philosophy the last 10 or 11 years. And so the more that I've tried to give to my team and think about other people, the more that they've given to me and have thought about me. And so, when it comes to creating culture, it really starts with empathy first, in my opinion, and caring more about others than you care about yourself. And when you can do that, truly do that, sincerely do that, you just won't believe what kind of team you can build and what you can scale from there.
Very interesting. So let's start talking about culture. You know, you are called the culture cultivator. Let me start by asking you, how do you define culture?
Yeah, I define culture by happiness of my employees. And I think that's really just I know it's a very broad statement, but I have the mentality that I work for my employees and I have to keep them happy. And if my employees are happy, if our team is happy, then our clients and members in return are going to be happy because they see that on our employees' faces when they walk into either the doggy daycare or Sweat House or Orange Theory, whatever it is. When you walk into a business, like we've all done several times, when you walk into a business and it is positive and happy and full of great energy, that's a place you want to go back to several times over. But when you walk into a business that is negative and no energy, it's hard to get someone back there. And so I define culture by happiness for my employees. And to me, that's again, a broad statement, but that's how we have to define it.
And when you talk of values and culture, are these mere words, which, lip service, or are they actually being actioned upon?
Oh, what's a really direct question, and I love that. I'll give you an example. We paid every employee during the global pandemic. And so in Portland, Oregon, our studios were closed for 9 months, and every employee, including part-time employees, got paid. We did that for all, at the time, 800 employees. If I include all the businesses right now, we're up to almost 2,000 employees. And so we have very little turnover. Very low turnover. People want to work for us for a long time. We've built a place where people in the fitness industry can have a career versus a job. And is it perfect? No. But 95% of our employees are really, really happy. And the 5% that aren't probably shouldn't be here, or maybe they're in the wrong industry or whatever it is, right? It's never going to be 100%. And we've had people leave that aren't fans of honors because of this or that. And that's just business. My goal is to keep, 90+% of our employees happy. And if I can do that, we're going to win. And so I wouldn't think it's just lip service. It's something we've done for a long time. And I think the other kind of proof is in the pudding. We've been able to scale at dramatic fashions, right? We were probably the only boutique fitness company in the world that doubled its number of studios during a global pandemic. We went from 70 in March of 2020 to today we're at 142. And so not a lot of boutique fitness companies could do that in a global pandemic, and we couldn't have done it without the culture that we had in place.
Thank you. Thank you for such a great response to my very direct question. Thank you. My next question to you, Jamie, is that what role does leadership, culture, and capability play in developing culture?
Well, I'll tell you, promoting from within is a key attribute to having culture for a long period of time. We've tried to bring outside people in to fit our culture within 30 days. And the reality is, people that have been here 2, 3, 4 years, they realize what it takes to have the right culture. And training someone for a new culture that they are just being thrown into is really, really difficult. We just had a situation where we brought someone in, great person, great business mind, but just not a good culture fit. And so we parted ways with him. That's part of it. And so I think that promoting from within and preparing your team to it allows us to scale faster as well. And so I'm not having to retrain people over and over. So creating leaders, but starting with empathy. Everything starts with empathy. Everything starts with gratitude. When you have empathy and gratitude, you just won't believe how you view the world much differently. I mean, I wake up with so much gratitude of where we're at and where we've been that it makes it really easy to have empathy for all of our employees and whatever situation we're dealing with. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Ash, we're all just human beings.
Right.
we're all just trying to be happy and survive. And it's not rocket science. We just got to care about other people.
Fantastic. And you were telling me a few minutes ago how you've doubled despite the pandemic. People have stayed on with you. 90% of the people are very happy. My next question is, how does culture impact belonging and building meaningful relationships within the organization?
Well, I mean, I think that's all a part of creating a happy environment, creating a positive environment. We have so many negative influences in our life 24 hours a day. And, we talk a lot about a work-life balance, and I just really hate that phrase, work-life balance, because work is 33 to 35% of my life.
Correct.
I sleep 30% of my life.
Correct.
Right. So work is just my life balance. It's just life balance.
Correct.
And so if we can incorporate work to not feel like work, and be a positive impact on your day where you feel like you are fulfilled, you're achieving something, you're respected, your opinion counts, then you're going to create something that is just much bigger than just a job. And so that's really been our focus more than anything, is creating something where all voices are equal and heard, where, you know, we are focused on careers, not jobs, and we're all on a mission together to achieve it. And it starts with empathy and gratitude and just having a positive environment. It's just, it's really not that difficult.
Very interesting. My next question to you is that can national culture, and I know you're in one of the most incredibly diverse countries in the world, but can a societal or a national culture impact organizational culture?
Will you repeat that again? I want to make sure I understood exactly what you're asking me, because I'm not sure that I'm qualified to answer it, but go ahead.
Okay, I'll ask you, but we can always pass the question. But, you know, the US is a very, very diverse, culturally diverse country.
Which makes it amazing.
Which makes it absolutely amazing. And I've always said that it's one of the most incredible countries to be there. How much of that diversity has an impact on the culture of an organization?
It's a fair question, but not one that I really think about. I mean, we have very diverse teams everywhere, and it's something that I really pride myself in. At Honors, which is the business that owns 142 Orange Theories and has about 1,600 employees, it's without a doubt one of the most diverse brands that will ever find, because it's the fitness industry, and the fitness industry doesn't see anything outside of people trying to be healthy, and it fits all people and all humans. And so I would think that diversity helps us in a tremendous way, because we want to cast a really broad net and let people realize and help people realize Orange Theory is for all people, all walks of life, all people. Sweat House is for all people in all walks of life, and Dogtopia is obviously for all people in all walks of life. And so, yeah, I think that diversity has helped us tremendously.
Yes. So one more question on culture, and then we move to franchising.
Okay.
You've built such a strong company or a group of companies with strong culture. What would your advice be to startup entrepreneurs on how to build culture?
Well, you have to really put yourself in the employee's shoes every single day, and say, what are they dealing with, and what can I do to make this easier for them? What can I do to make this better for them? And I'm a problem solver. I was not a great student. I was not a book smart student. I struggled all through school at every level, from college to high school to grad school. I just wasn't a great student at all. But I've always been a pretty good problem solver. And I really like to hire problem solvers and place problem solvers in leadership roles, because they tend to look at the world and say, if I'm this employee and I'm struggling with this, what can I do to make it better? How do I make this easier? And so I think if I'm a new entrepreneur looking to get into space, the more you think about it from the employee's eyes, which is empathy, the more that you're going to be able to understand what they're dealing with every day, and they're going to feel like you're on their team instead of in an ivory tower talking down.
Very interesting. Let's now move to franchising. You've built very successful franchisees. What are some of the areas to watch out for before you start to take a franchise?
Wow, that's another really good question. I think there's one red flag that if I'm a franchisee looking at a franchisor that I would look for every time, and that is the franchisor an operator? Are they building the business themselves and building the studios and running them? And if so, how are they doing? Are they doing better than all other franchisees? If so, that's really good. I want to learn from someone who's doing it better than anybody. If they're not building and they're not a great operator, how are they going to teach you to be an operator? And so I was really fortunate that my first venture into franchising, Orange Theory had a really good training program, and we understood it, and we went by the book, and we played it, and we did it well enough to where a year after I was able to kind of make some adjustments and manage the business a little bit more my own way, and then 2 years a little bit more, and 3 years, and so on from there. And so I when I'm meeting with a franchisor, I want to understand, as an operator, how many do you own? How many do you plan to open? If I sit down with an operator and they are a franchisor and they say, well, we've got 4, but we don't plan to open anymore. Well, if it's so good, why are you not opening anymore? I mean, if you want me to take and go build 20 of them and you've only got 4 and you're not going to build any more, why would I do that? Right. So those are the kind of the little things that you got to ask for. And they're going to say, well, it's hard to be a franchisor and an operator. And you got to be like, well, hold on a second. You're not opening that many. I mean, let's really talk about why you wouldn't open anymore.
Correct. Well said. And based on your experience, both as a franchisee and as a franchisor, what are some of the challenges franchisors face from franchisees?
Yeah, well, I'm new into being a franchisor, and I'm pretty sure I'm not very good at it, but I'm learning a lot quickly, and eventually I'll be good at it. The team is really good at it. It's just I struggle with it. You know, franchisees, you have 2 types of franchisees: the franchisees that want to follow the playbook exactly the way you have it, and then you have franchisees that want to kind of do their own thing and be off kind of what the playbook says and kind of do their own thing. You need both, actually, because that franchisee that wants to get off the playbook and try different things, you need that him or her to do that, to help you learn what can happen in a market, as long as they stay maybe not between the white lines, but a little bit right there. And then the people that are following by the playbook exactly, you need them also, because they understand, hey, I may not be an operator. I've got to follow this playbook to be an operator. And so you need both. But I think that is, for a franchisor, it's a struggle having the balance between those two types of franchisees. I've got a group in North Carolina that they are a franchisee in other systems as well. They're extremely successful. So that's one that I'm probably going to give a little leeway to help us train and learn some things and try some things different, throw some stuff against the wall. And then we've got one that's actually not far from North Carolina, who it's his first time being a franchisee. And he's just like, listen, I'm going to follow this playbook exactly like this. And so as a franchisor, that's a difficult balance at times.
Interesting. My next question to you, Jamie, is a combination of culture, empathy, and franchising. How can franchisors and franchisees build lasting relationships? Because it's a very tenuous relationship till you become really big.
It's funny. We're trying to do that differently here. I think one of the things that you have to set as a franchisor very early in the stage, and this is what we're doing, when it comes to a franchisee, what's proprietary to them is the area that they own. That's really important to them as a franchisee. It was really important to me at Dogtopia, at Orange Theory, at Sweat House, wherever. That's really important, the area that they own. Franchisors tend to get maybe a little greedy and sell a lot of franchisees in one area. And while that may be great for the franchisor because it's more of this, more of this, more of this, it's not great for the franchisee because now they're competing with other franchisees in that market. And that's what creates a difficult relationship between franchisees. So what we're doing is we're just saying, hey, listen, this area is yours. And even though you may not be able to afford the entire area right now, we're actually going to give you a right of first refusal for the rest of the area, because we want you to be a multi-unit developer of that entire area. And I think when you do that in the first month of being a franchisee-franchisor relationship, they see that, hey, he's not trying to just sell a bunch of licenses and put people everywhere. He's actually trying to help me build a multi-unit business that's going to have that's going to create a tremendous amount of value, because that white space and that ROFR, that's huge value to people later on down the line. And so that's the first thing we're doing to try to eliminate that, the difficult relationship amongst franchisees, and especially franchisee to franchisor.
Well said. And my last question to you, Jamie, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. Based on your own amazing journey, and I'm quite amazed, not just as someone who's building businesses, but someone who's brought in a lot of value-based thought leadership, about money and so on. But what are some of the lessons, or what are 3 lessons that you would want our viewers and listeners to take away?
Yeah. Okay. Ash, your questions have been for 8 in.the morning here in the East Coast. They've been so good. I was not prepared for these to be this difficult or good. They're amazing questions.
Thank you.
First and foremost, you have to care more about others than you care about yourself.
Yeah.
For others to care about you.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to go about your day and just say, I'm going to make today about everyone else. And when you do that, you just won't believe the number of people that will start to care about you. But when you go about your day only caring about yourself, man, no one cares about you. No one cares about you.
Correct.
And that's just not the way to do it. So that would be first and foremost.
Mm.
I think second is you're not going to be amazing at everything. And you have to be vulnerable enough to recognize what are the 3, 4, or 5 things that I'm not good at.
Yeah.
And you have to go hire those people.
Yeah.
And so, I'm really good with numbers in my head, and I'm really good with investing, but let me tell you what I'm not good with. And that's a monthly P&L that a CFO has to put together. I'm not great with that stuff. And so I need a finance and accounting team, which I've hired heavily at every business, and just said, you guys got to handle this and tell me when I'm running out of money and tell me when I got money. Just as that's all I need to know. I'll go run the business and I'll operate, I'll marketing, I'll do I'll do whatever I got to do. But man, when it comes to this, I just can't do it. And that took some vulnerability for me to sit back and say, I'm not great at this. I need someone else to do it. And I think that's a really important attribute. I think third, and that I would like for people to take away is, listen, you have to find something. You may not be in love with it. It may not be your passion, but it's one of those things where you've got to find that balance where, like, the doggy daycare business, is it my passion to own the doggy daycare business? No. Now we have 2 labs, and I love Chief and Weenie as much as I love anything in this world. And so I have a passion for those animals, and I know other people have a passion for those animals. So that allows me to say, well, listen, there are other people that love this as much as I do. We've got to create an environment and a space where they feel comfortable leaving their pets and their fur babies to say, I'm okay with this. And so it wasn't that I love the business model. It was that I love the area of business and I love the emotions tied to it. And that was, to me, a focus where I was like, this is something where it could be good for everybody. We can change people's lives and help them and achieve something. As an example, in the city of Portland, our dog daycare was labeled a necessity to stay open during the pandemic because doctors and nurses were able to drop their dogs off with us. That's a big deal. And so I think that so many times, just because we're so passionate about something doesn't mean you need to be in that business. I love cars. Do I need to be in the car business? No, because guess what? I'm probably going to be too emotional about it and make some really bad decisions.
Well said. Well said. And on that note, Jamie, and your 3 amazing lessons, one must care more about others than yourself. Second, you said you can't do everything, get people to help you. And the third one, you said find the balance in your business, even if your passion is not there, but the business is business. Thank you so much for talking to me, Jamie, about your own journey, about your 3 amazing brands, Orange Theory, Sweat House, and Dog Daycare. Thank you for talking to me at such length about culture. I mean, I think I learned some amazing things from you about culture today. Thank you also for speaking to me about franchising and franchisees and franchisors. Thank you again, and good luck.
Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Congratulations with all your success. It's something to really look up to.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website, www.tbcy.in, to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.